I'm Monji. This is Ryan. We're going to talk about how you beat Space Marines in the Horus Heresy with this Liber Imperium.
Today we're talking about the Custodes from the new Liber Imperium. I'm excited for this book, Monji. I've been waiting for 6 months since Horus Heresy 2.0 came out, and this does not disappoint, unlike Mechanicum. What do you think, Monji? What do you think the biggest change is from the old 1.0 Horus Heresy to the current edition?
Having had flashbacks to what the Custodes did to me in first edition, I think these Custodes are a more reasonable take. They're not going to utterly ruin. You'll be able to kill them this time, which is a big shift. I think that's the biggest change, is they can actually die in Horus Heresy 2.0.
As a Custodes player, I don't like the fact that I'm going to lose boys, but
their biggest positive change is definitely the new Nemesis mechanic.
Okay.
+1 to charge and +1 attacks against Primarchs, Terminators, Dreadnoughts, Automata, pretty much any big, bad, nasty that you're going to see in the battlefields of the 31st millennium. Custodes are going to absolutely want to fight them and just wipe them off the table.
So beyond the major points changes, let's talk about maybe some improvements in the army. Did we see any major improvements? I know that we had the troops choices come down in cost, and we got a couple more interesting weapons like the Meridian Blades.
Can we talk about how the little daggers are all instant death? Because what?
Oh yeah, the Misericordias are now instant death, which is huge for Custodes players. It makes even your Sagittarium Guard excellent in close combat. Always gives you a way to absolutely crush anything in front of you and potentially get that instant death roll. In terms of some of the negatives that we've seen come out of this codex, the invuln saves have moved from 5++ to 6++, which is kind of a negative. Your survivability went down, but we did see most of the Custodes units get +1 wound. So that was kind of their way of making up for it. Again, you're not going to be saving all those instant deaths, in terms of just general combat mitigation, wound mitigation. Amazing durability as far as just going up against Space Marines.
And they got 3 keywords army-wide that are all bananas.
That is correct.
So every Custodes unit gets Chosen Warriors, Relentless, and Stubborn. They're always going to count as stationary for shooting. They're always going to be Leadership 9 or Leadership 10. It doesn't matter if they lost a fight by 80 points. They're making that roll at Leadership 9 or Leadership 10. And Chosen Warrior is just tremendous right now. It means that if you want to fight any Custodes character, you will have to chew through the rest of the squad to get there. Just incredible.
It really forces Space Marine players, and really anybody else who wants to engage in close combat, to gamble with those numbers of attacks.
Yeah.
You're not going to just be able to pull someone to the side, do a challenge, and then, stomp through the rest of the unit. You have to sit there and kind of determine how many attacks am I going to drop on this one Terminator? How many when I drop on this? How am I going to drop on this other one? And then, it could pan out. It might not. So, that's one of the other interesting things, is you are truly, getting an elite army out of this index.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing that's wild to me is the amount of murderous strike and instant death across the army. We mentioned the Misericordia, but, it was a big deal when second edition launched that Space Marines got a bunch of extra wounds. Terminators got up to 2 wounds.
Right. We
had a bunch of the elite Space Marine units get 2 wounds. Custodes just don't care.
They don't. They absolutely do not care. They are stacked as far as wounds, and the amount of instant death, like you said, is crazy. But that also really helps us with things like Terminators, other elite armies, and of course the feared Dreadnoughts.
Oh yeah.
So, all those ancients out there, ancient armies with all the Contemptors and of course the Leviathans, they're going to be hurting because you're talking about D3 wounds per miss save.
Yeah, and that's just off of the regular units. Are we even going to talk about their Contemptors and the mighty Telemon?
They're so scary. Now, I love their Contemptors, but their Telemon did increase pretty substantially. The base cost went up 45 points, and of course you're adding weapons onto that. Mm-hmm. So that makes them not as cost effective, and they do lack Brutal. Here's my complaint. Contemptors in Astartes, tons of Brutal.
Yeah.
Contemptors in Custodes, no Brutal.
No brutal.
Where's the brutal?
Well, the Telemon has a brutal shooting attack.
Okay, that's fair.
It's 4 shots, each are brutal too, which is, I think, the only brutal shooting outside of Mechanica?
Ultramarines, maybe?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Ultramarines are, the best legion, so, we do benefit. Sigismund is no longer the only non-Primarch with Eternal Warrior. That's a thing that happened.
Constantine Valdor is back in all of his glory, rolling in at how many points now?
350
points. So he is an absolute monster. There are some strange little weirdness in the book itself, though. He doesn't have a warlord trait anymore, so that's changed. And of course, with him in your army, you do have to take him as a warlord. So you have access to the single warlord trait that is in the book, and of course the generic warlord traits that are found throughout Horus Heresy. But let's talk about the guy that everyone's going to take as an HQ.
You mean the Tribune?
I do mean the Tribune.
This dude is 300 points and is unquestionably the strongest combat character that is not like a Primarch. I would put this guy at even odds with Sigismund.
That's pretty high praise.
Yeah. If you've seen Sigismund or Corswain or any of the other close combat monsters in this edition, get ready because they're just preparing you for the Custodes Tribune. He slices, he dices, he takes every weapon in the armory. He's got Eternal Warrior for some reason. Yeah, I don't know how you kill him. I really don't.
I can't wait to smash your entire army with that unit.
He does have a limit. He does have one limit.
What is his limit?
You can only take him in games of 3,000 points or more. Unlike the Praetors and the Astartes, who are 1 per 1,000, you get 1 Tribune in a 3,000 point game.
But honestly, who's playing under 3,000 points, right?
So Mortalis exists.
Nobody plays that.
Oof.
Let's talk about the variety of armor types we have now, too.
Oh, yeah, because they did make a new category of Custodes armor.
Right. So if your Custodes have hammer pants, they do not have the same saves as standard Custodian Guards or Terminators or anything like that. They're going to be a 3+ armor and a 6+ basic interval.
That's your Venatari and your Agamatus, right?
And oddly enough, the Agamatus jet bikes are no longer really considered like a jet bike. They've kind of gone the way of all the other jet bikes in Liber Astartes being significantly worse.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting call. I don't really know why the armor save got worse, but the units are still incredibly powerful and fast.
True. I really like the Lance variant. Basically, it's a Venatari with a Guardian Spear. So they make for a really interesting fast attack, jump infantry. You can cover crazy amounts of distance. Let's talk about that too. All of the Custodes are now 8-inch move.
8-inch move base. The Terminators move 7?
Yeah. Putting them anywhere you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And also they have an amazing dedicated transport with las cannons.
I mean, even the Palladius Grav Tank is awesome because they have those same las cannons. And it's pretty good.
Right.
It went down in cost, in fact. It is now 60 points.
Yep.
A savings of 25 points per unit.
Oh, I don't want to leave us without talking about the Hecateran Guard, who are the all-stars of this book. If you're looking for a unit in Custodes that will absolutely answer anything anyone brings to the table, it's these guys in skirts, man. I don't know what to tell you. You're able to use the 40k Custodian Wardens in 30k for the first time, as there are rules for the axes.
Right.
And it's not just for the Hecateran Guard. The Hecateran Guard are just the best. But the Hecateran Guard are 3 wound custodians.
2-up save.
3 wounds, 2-up save. They have the 6-up invulnerable. They have all the great keywords we talked about, and they have access to the new rules on the Meridian swords.
The Meridian swords are crazy. So if you went out and bought that Blade Master, you have the perfect model to sub in for these Meridian blades. They're going to be amazing. They have instant death. They're better than Paragon blades. They're cheaper. As many as you can put in your army. Take them all. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Don't skip.
If you want some guys who will do some lifting, it's definitely anybody who can take those swords. But we've talked a lot about how good Custodes are. What is anybody supposed to do against the favored golden boys of the Emperor of Mankind?
Custodes still have the issue with bodies. They can't, they don't have the ability to go out and control objectives, control a map like Space Marines can. I think that Horde armies present them with a challenge. Like, do you have enough attacks to wade through infantry-heavy Space Marine armies or even Mechanicum.
Is it time for the tech thralls to shine? Is this really their...
Well, they do have Stubborn, so they can weigh a Custodes down with 10 or 20, but... I think that in general, they're going to suffer against things like Solar Auxilia, they're going to suffer against Infantry Heavy Astartes list, and they're going to suffer against Mechanicum. Mechanicum presents some interesting challenges for Custodes, just with the amount of instant death, and of course, AP2. And let's not forget about the Myrmidons. I mean, Myrmidons will shred Custodes.
I also think... if you're playing Astartes, you've got some answers in that Primarchs still represent a real challenge to Custodes.
True.
Custodes are a melee-heavy army. Most Primarchs are just going to present an impossible challenge for a given Custodes unit to overcome. I also feel that, like, when we're going to see these new Solar Auxilia armies, or we're going to see people running around with these new assassins, being able to snipe out specific Custodes or taking out their flag bearer units or characters is going to be a real big hit to the list.
The other thing I want to talk about with Custodes is that so much of the book is still in the Forge World range, so you are dealing with resin, you do have those kind of drawbacks. But, with the pace of releases from GW, I do think we're going to see things like maybe Palace Grav Tanks. I'm sure we're going to get a Custodes weapon upgrade sprue, so you will get those Adamantite spears, you'll get the different blades and stuff that are kind of in the book right now. And, I think that's coming. But, again, you're still dealing with resin. You're still dealing with all the scarcity issues and shipping issues that have been plaguing GW. I wouldn't expect a rapid solution to those issues. I would say that, it's something to look forward to.
I'll also say for 40k Custodes players, several of your units still aren't in this book. So, we don't have access to the legacy PDF, so we can't say for sure.
Right.
But there is no jet bikes, and the plastic Terminators are also not in this.
Yeah, Laris Terminators are no longer there, or they're not there. But those do offer good proxies to Quillen Terminators. Yeah. They do offer good proxies to your Forge World Agamagus jet bikes. Yep. Thank you. You can definitely still play a game, and that's the important part.
For sure. I think that's all we've got to say about the Golden Boys today. What do you think, Ryan?
I'm excited for it. I'm really looking forward to putting these guys on the table and seeing what they do. We should have a game coming up here soon. We might even do like an after action on that, so we'll see. But
cool.
From the Bull's basement, this is Ryan.
This is Monji. Keep rolling those dice.